Earl Tutor, 1893 to 1977. The Oklahoma Kid by Don Mayfield. In 1951, after near 100 years of breeding game dogs in the U.S., the breeding had reached a peak. In Arizona, a male named Bouncer was bred to a female named Bambi by a man called Ed Richson. In the litter was a red dog with a deep blue-black nose. This dog was bred from the core of the American bred game dogs. He was raised and named by a black man from a pup. This dog was named DaBo. In the heart of Africa, the word DaBo means devil. In his pedigree were over 100 years of American bred game dogs that had been proven in the pit. All his close family were the gamest bred in the world. DaBo and his close family was the product of this American breeding. His bloodline showed all the areas of the U.S. The American game dog and DaBo's pedigree were dogs that had proved their gameness in the core of the game dog game in America. These game dogs came into our nation near the mid-1800s from Europe. Some of the game dogs that were brought into our nation were of outcross breedings. When different pure families in England, Ireland, and Scotland were bred together in their nations, then imported into our nation and bred with either a pure or crossbred family that were being matched into another to prove which were the gamest families. Men like Cockney Charlie Lloyd imported pure family breeding and pure English breeding and crossbred it with the English breeding here in our nation. These men matched few dogs but proved their breeding was the gamest bred. In the days of the late 1800s and early 1900s, Con Feely, who matched more dogs than any man in his time, became the breeder of the different outcross English families that had been bred here in the U.S. Con bred a family of dogs from what he proved were the gamest dogs bred in the U.S. in his time. F.G. Henry imported some English red dogs and crossed them with proven families of Con Feelies. In the same days, the English dogs were being matched, proven, and bred. On the northern coast of our nation, the Irish families were being done the same way in the area of the East Coast. J.P. Colby was the man that bred together the different pure Irish families with the Irish outcrosses that was being crossed together on the East Coast. A number of different men improved gameness of their breeding that were being bred at the core of the game. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, the Irish dogs of outcross breeding, the ones that were proving themselves the gamest bred, made it to Texas in the yard of Bill Shipley. Bill imported pure Irish family from Ireland and crossed it with crossbred family that had been bred in the U.S. In the early 1900s, the next name to fill the shoes of number one game dog man of his time, and only a few men here in this nation had wore those shoes. The last was Con Feely from Illinois. But in 1908, Earl Tutor showed up in Oklahoma from Kentucky. Earl matched more dogs and proved his understanding of gameness more than any man in his time. He bred together the families of F.G. Henry to the families of Con Feely in the late 1930s and early 1940s. Earl was proving his breeding was the gamest bred. At the time, he crossed the dogs of the purest that had been proven of the English breeding to the Irish families of Bill Shipley, 200 miles from him in Texas. This brought together the games dogs bred from the north and the gamest dogs bred from the east. to near the center of the United States. In the days of Earl Tutor, when he proved his breeding the gamest bred, dogs from his breeding were being bred in most the states in the U.S. This was in the 1940s. In the early 1950s, Earl Tutor was in Arizona, looking at breeding of the game dogs when he was taken to see DaBo. Earl liked very much what he saw, took the dog back to Oklahoma with him. At first, he called this dog Red Dog Runt, but later changed his name back to DaBo. Earl bred DaBo to a number of females bred from his family of dogs. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, Earl began to bring together a family of dogs, breeding them pure. His dogs were different than any of the different families being bred in the U.S. This ones from his family were the ones at the core, with most all the other breeding in the U.S. being outcrosses breeding from Earl's yard. In the years of the early 1960s and early 1970s, Earl bred his understanding of the American game dogs into a family of dogs that all looked alike. In the early 1960s and late 1970s, we proved the gameness of the American game dogs more than any other time of our core. Today, in the 1980s society around the world, seeking the gamest family of dogs bred in the world here in Texas on a mountaintop beside a long creek, we have bred from the core family of a very pure bunch of American game dogs. In the last number of years, we have all bred only a small number of dogs from this family. At this time, when a number of nations are seeking the gamest family of dogs bred into American game dog, it being proven in a number of nations matched into different men's understandings. Sunrise in the year of 1961, we met Earl Tutor at his home in Oklahoma. We had with us a nice bred female from his family of dogs. We came to meet him and talk to him about breeding the female. We did a lot of talking and bred the female. Then we drove near 250 miles back to Texas. Within the next number of years, we made the trip to Earl's place many times. On one trip, I remember sitting on a couch with Earl, as he had bad eyes and always wanted to sit close so he could look me in the eyes when we talked. We most always talked about breeding as we sat talking, trying to stare each other down. We had our own ways of understanding conditions and taught each other what we had done and what we were doing. But when it came time to talk about breeding, I only asked questions. I remember one time Earl, who was in his mid-60s about that time, broke down into tears and cried like a baby and told me, "These damn so-called friends, one dog deal or another, who steal the credit of every dog bred. Never gave me one damn bit of credit for my dogs."